And there's nothing problematic about Nyx Weaver. Nobody Google Nyx Weaver problematic. Or else you'll find out some heinous shit that he said about, like, Guatemalans. Please, I'm begging you. Would have been a hell of a day for this to be Nyx Weaver, you gotta admit. A 3-mana Goblin Chariot. Oh. Treasure Hunter was an uncommon. Ophidian. Oh, Ophidian. A 3 Knight of Mists? So it's from Portal? 3 mana blue. Oh, fuck off. And it's not a human. 3 mana creature. Is it Windrake? Yeah, it's Windrake. With a William Blake quote? Damn. William Blake quote. Damn. All right. You know, they're calling him the greatest to ever do it, and you really should just let them speak their piece. I feel like I should know this one immediately. Choose one. Is this a Wooburg card? Create a... Oh, it's Mavrin, Mavrin and Gulta. Marvin? Is it Gulta and Mavrin? That counts as one. That counts as one. That counts as one. Come on. You gotta give it to me. Who fucking remembers what, you know, they're called? The only sequencing of this is Thalion, the Gitrog, and Wingus and Dingus. That's where the order matters. Graveyard order does not matter in this world. It's a sorcery. Blank a blank. And you blank. Why does the S look so small here? What? Balder. Hi. Hi, Bubba. Come on up. Hi. Hi, lady. Hi, pretty baby. Create. No, it's not. Yeah. Create something tokens that are, create blank tokens that are no, target creature then that what? Target creature what the fuck is this? Turns. Create blank tokens that are copies of target creature you control. comma. They gain blank. They gain when this token enters. It fights up to one target creature you don't control. So you make copies of your cards and they fight other things? What? Oh, what the hell is this? I know this card. I'm pretty sure I put this card away. It begins with an A. It's a sorcery that begins with an A. I put it away I organized this. I sorted this last night. It's I'm pretty sure it's like a Simic. It's XX Simic. Oh fuck. Aggressive Biomancy? Woo! Yeah, baby. Aggressive Biomancy. See? The system fucking works. I am going to be too powerful when I finish this. I'm going to be way too powerful. I just started sorting my sorceries last night. That's so funny. That is so funny to me. I don't know if people can see it because it might be covered up. But I have manually sorted 8,945 cards into Moxfield. I'm uploading my entire collection to Moxfield. It's rough. It's rough. Anyways, get got. Whew. Anarchalia for the 8th month. Welcome back. How you doing? How you been? Thank you so much for all the support. Glad to have you. Good to see you. What up? What up? 8 months. That's a lot of cards. I'm not even. That is everything. Well, it's not even that much. It's a random assortment of cards that I've needed to upload for Canlander deck lists and filming, plus all my lands, artifacts, enchantments, battles, planeswalkers, colorless creatures, multicolored creatures, and sorceries that begin with A and B. So I haven't done white creatures, blue creatures, black, red, green creatures, and an instance. I have a lot to go. I try not to look at the dollar value because one, it's probably incorrect because it's you know, it gives you near mint prices or whatever. And also my mother accidentally saw it when I was describing what I was doing, and she freaked the fuck out. She freaked out. Positive freak out. But you know. Anyways, I'm going to be talking about cards from Edge of Eternities. We're going to be continuing the Edge of Eternities set review today. We have the first part up on YouTube. You don't necessarily need to watch the first part before this part, but if you want to watch us cover, in this case, cards that are white, blue, black, and red, you're going to want to watch that. But that is available. This is going to be the part 2. I'm looking to finish the entire set. As of recording, the entire set is officially previewed, so hoping to get all of them. That means that we have the remainders of the colors that I featured in the first episode, plus green, multicolored, colorless lands, and all that. And then usually at the end of these, I give my full thoughts, my final thoughts, that kind of thing. Yeah. I'm talking about this primarily through the lens of Canadian Highlander, although I will also mention it for Cube, or if it's cool, or if I look at something and I think that there's a specific interaction or a situation that comes up. I am going to be a little more generous when it comes to the cards that I talk about, but when it comes to my review of the cards, I am trying to look at this through a competitive lens. With that said, I have a couple of cards that we didn't catch, or rather that were previewed after our first episode a couple days ago, and I want to talk about them. So let's do that. The first one is Seam Rip. Seam Rip is a single white mana enchantment that says when this enchantment enters, you exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls with mana value 2 or less until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. So this is a portable hole that happens to be an enchantment. That makes it worse because enchantments are just generally worse than artifacts in Canadian Highlander and in a lot of Eternal formats. Because, well, the fact that they're an artifact means that you can play them pretty easily in Tolarian Academy decks, Tinker strategies, that sort of thing. It's worth noting that Seam Rip can still be found with, like, Enlightened Tutor, and with some of the other tutors that are played in this style of deck, like Wargate and whatnot. But typically, you're just going to play Portable Hole. Where this card can earn some extra points is if you're a deck that wants Portable Hole, but does not care about the card type of Portable Hole. Portable Hole being an artifact, while that is a benefit for decks that look to capitalize on artifact synergies, can be a downside in the sense that artifacts, because they are stronger than enchantments, are often more directly targeted. This can seem like it's not that big of a deal, but if you want to, say, play one of Portable Hole or Seam Rip in like a blue-white control deck, it is likely to your benefit to play Seam Rip instead. Not to mention, this being an enchantment does obviously have some synergies with enchantment-based decks, Enchantress itself, or if you are a real degen and you're playing like the blue-white replenish combo deck, it's got a little bit of a benefit to that. So overall, pretty great Magic card. It's hard to argue with a second copy of Portable Hole as well. Sometimes decks want to play both. Sometimes decks just want one. It's nice that there's some flexibility that you can play with. And there might be some other synergies with this card being an enchantment that I'm missing. Bright Glass Scarehole can find both, which is kind of funny. It's a neat little addition. That's the only new white card that I want to talk about. There's a blue card I'd like to talk about. It's called Scour for Scrap. Please ignore this. This card costs 4 mana, not 2 mana. Scour for Scrap costs 3 and a blue and is an instant that has choose one or both. You search your library for an artifact card, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle, or you return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. I am pretty impressed with this card. It is expensive. I'm going to get this out of the way. It is a 4 mana spell. 4 mana spells are, well, it's a lot, right? But this 3 generic mana here becomes less of an issue when you have Black Lotus. And that sounds goofy. It sounds like, oh yeah, sure, dude, Black Lotus makes everything cheaper. Except that tutoring up artifacts is a pretty powerful thing to do. And decks that often want to tutor artifacts might also just end up wanting to tutor for Black Lotus. And so while it seems goofy to say like, oh, you Black Lotus out this card and you get to bring back the Black Lotus, that is a real deal play pattern that is relevant for certain Black Lotus combo decks. It's definitely relevant for KCI combo decks. But even without Black Lotus, you'll never believe what artifact decks can do. They can generate a ton of mana, especially blue or colorless mana. So even playing this in something like a Time Vault deck, being able to find our Time Vault and then rebuy an Aether Spellbomb, a Voltaic Key, a Lotus Petal, or rebuy our Time Vault and tutor up a Voltaic Key. That is huge. That is so good. Don't feel like this 4 mana is too much. It's very easy to accomplish. Very easy to set up and quite powerful in doing so. Like, it's also instant speed, right? This is not, I'm not trying to be too hyperbolic with my analysis of this card, but it's pretty close to just, like, it has a play pattern that is somewhat similar to Gifts Ungiven, in that artifact decks so easily can find one part of their combo or one part of their setup to end the game, that that, like, realistically, this card will play out in such a way where you're like, end of turn, here's my 4 mana spell. You need to counter this or you are going to lose the game, which is something that Gifts Ungiven kind of has. And that's neat. Like, even if this is, I'm casting this to bring back my defense grid and tutor up my combo piece, because they already countered the defense grid. It's like, well, they got to counter this now, but maybe they don't have counterspell. Maybe they have artifact destruction. Then you get to just play the defense grid and not have to worry about that. It's just a card that fits so well into the play patterns of artifact combo decks. It's wow. I am so excited to play this card. Also makes me interested in playing, experimenting with versions of Storm that use Black Lotus +3. Because, as again, this might sound a little goofy, but you got to look at this through the lens of combo decks, where every tutor, the more that your tutors can find other tutors, the easier it is to just kill people once you have the mana. So, Wishclaw Talisman in your deck means that every Fabricate is actually Demonic Tutor when you have enough mana, right? And so this card being able to, say, return your Black Lotus and find a Wishclaw Talisman, and then play the Lotus, which then pays for the cost of Wishclaw Talisman. Just think about it that way, right? Like, if you have this card, and again, you gotta, because this happens every time I talk about Black Lotus, you get fucking Wingus and Dingus rolling their eyes, Surgeon Nelson, rolling their eyes and be like, oh, sure, when you have Black Lotus, you can do it. But yeah, that's just what your deck does. And so you got to evaluate cards based around what your deck does and what it's looking to accomplish, and especially the points that you are paying, right? Like, Black Lotus plus this card means that you tap one land, crack the Lotus, cast this, return Lotus, find Wishclaw, play Lotus, play Wishclaw, activate Wishclaw. And so now we have just, we've built our own Demonic Tutor. And that's great. That's huge. We've built our own Demonic Tutor, and we've found our Lotus in our graveyard, which means now we can maybe pop off with like an Ill-Gotten Gains, or pop off with like a Yawgmoth's Will, and just we've generated a huge amount of Storm. So yeah, this card, I'm so excited for this card. If you can't tell, I'm very excited for this card. And I've been bitten by I'd say bitten by the combo bug again. It's just going through this realization of just like, look, I'm just a combo degenerate. It's all I want to do all the time. And so my brain is just going for all the unexplored areas of combo in Canlander right now. And, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. This is one of the cards, there are a couple of them from this set, where I'm not even going to pick up an English copy, or I'm not going to go out of my way to pick up an English copy. I'm literally just, as soon as the set drops, I am asking Ash Lizzle, computer stop. I'm asking Ash Lizzle to order me German foil copies so I can pick them up in Atlanta, because it's like, yeah, these I feel like I'm just going to be playing these cards in this format for quite some time. Monoist Sentry. A single black mana for a 4/1 artifact creature. It's a robot, and it has Defender. Very weird magic card. It's... I look at this card, And I imagine I'm just evaluating this because of my love for Steel Wall. Steel Wall being a 1 mana 0/4 generic artifact, like generic mana artifact creature, and how back in the day you would have Academy ramp decks would just occasionally trick a mage for Steel Wall to fight off the red decks. I'm not saying this card's good, just so we're clear, but it's very charming. I look at this card and I feel happy thoughts. There are just too many cards that pick off the 1 toughness. There are going to be spots where if you do, for whatever reason, decide to play this card, that it will be incredibly annoying and is pretty good into green decks. I will say, unless the green decks have the draw of like Grist tokens or whatever. But yeah, it's a very funny card to look at. Very funny card to look at. Excuse me. Memorial Vault, 3 in a red for an artifact that has tap, sack another artifact, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is 1 plus the mana value of the sacrificed artifact. You may play those cards this turn. Again, as part of the set review, I am talking about every rare that has been previewed. And this card looks appealing, especially once you get into some big mana artifacts to sack. But often the decks looking to sacrifice artifacts to get value, those artifacts are cheap, and they also just replace themselves already. Like, this is a very unnecessary card. In that, one, you can only play it this turn, which means that if you're using this to, say, you block with a creature and then you put it in the Memorial Vault, you cannot play a majority of your deck because, well, you're an artifact deck. That's not great. And the like upfront cost of 4 mana, 1 red included. We just have better tools for generating a bunch of value in these artifact decks. Giganli back for the 7th month. IIRC. You said you had an existing spreadsheet in my collection, and if you're interested, I can write something that will translate that into a CVS that Moxfield can bulk import. I don't have an existing spreadsheet of my collection. I have an existing spreadsheet of cards that I don't have in my collection. Yeah, my collection isn't actually logged anywhere because for the longest time, it was easier to just, and to this day, honestly, still, it is just easier for me to track the cards I don't own. Although, you know, that the cards I don't own has been, it's been getting bigger. Mind you, it's just a bunch of bullshit. Truthfully. There are just a bunch of cards that are like terrible rares where it's like, I thought I owned this, I don't own this. But I will pay $0.25 to get it because who knows? Maybe I'll build a really bad commander deck. Tanuk, Steadfast Second. 2 red for a legendary Kavu pilot. It is a 3/5. It says other creatures you control have haste, and artifact cards and red creatures in your hand have warp 3. This one's kind of funny because it gets to play out like a sneak attack, but only for artifacts and red creatures. Oh, I know that it's, if I recall, or I've always known it as if I recall correctly, but if I remember correctly, I just like, you know, reading out acronyms. Anyways, this card is just a real annoying card for Commander. I would not really recommend playing this card in Canadian Highlander, as you cannot sneak out Eldrazi, which is the primary kind of sneak attack card. You cannot sneak out a Troxa or Gristlebrand or Archon of Cruelty. You can shove out a Blightsteel Colossus. You could shove out an Ilharg, which then could shove out an Emrakul, but that's too many steps to take for what is effectively a card that just sits. Yeah, and there's Purphoros, right? Like, it's cool that you get to throw out like a Portal to Phyrexia or whatever and then later cast it. But it's just too slow and too, well, expensive, frankly, for Canadian Highlander. But if you throw a Black Lotus in. Onto green. We have Baloth Prime. Baloth Prime is 3 and a green for a 10/10 beast. This creature enters tapped with 6 stun counters on it. And whenever you sacrifice a land, you create a tapped 4/4 green beast creature token and untap this creature. Then you can pay 4 generic and sacrifice a land and gain 2 life. You know, not to do the Magic player thing where you say like, hey, if this card was a completely different card, I'd play it. But if this card were just slightly cheaper, I would at least humor this in a lands deck. As it stands, 4 mana for a vanilla 10/10, which honestly isn't that great of a stat line, is just with the 6 stun counters. Like, I'm paying 4 mana up front. Don't like that. 6 stun counters, also not a huge fan, but whatever. You're mostly here for this like static ability of or this triggered ability when you crack your fetches or you sack your wasteland or whatever. And also just like the Zurin Orb ability costing so much mana to activate. It's just a real downer, because this is the kind of card with a little bit of tweaking. Even though I wouldn't call it good, I would most certainly try to goozle some coworkers on a Friday Night Paper Fight or a North 100 Showdown. Bioengineered Future. 1 green for an enchantment that says when this enchantment enters, you create a lander token. For those that don't know, lander tokens are artifact tokens that have pay 2 generic, tap, sack it, and search your library for a basic land, put it into play tapped. So it's effectively a Wayfarer's Bauble. You get to make a Wayfarer's Bauble. Then it says each creature you control enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it for each land that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. So this card's bad for a couple of reasons. 1, it's a 3 mana enchantment that doesn't really do anything the turn you play it. Even though you get a lander token, that's a bit whatever. The timing is also very awkward. If I told you to think of the best cards in a counters strategy, what are the cards that come to mind? For me, the 3 3 of the best cards, Bristly Bill, which puts on counters through landfall, Scythe Cat Cub, which puts on counters through landfall, and like Saz's Chocobo, which is actually just like a 1 mana 4/5 with enough fetch lands and landfall. So the timing's very awkward. Obviously, it's not always like play the thing then play the land. Magic is a dynamic game in terms of sequencing, but there's definitely sequencing where you want to get the most out of your card, and this does not really let you do that. Yeah. You'll notice on the North 100 set review, by the way, episode 1 came out today, the first parter, where we did, I think, white to red. We made a conscious decision where I was like, I don't actually think the counters decks are that good. I think they're fine, but they're just kind of boring to talk about as well. So we should probably not talk about them as much. Same with like every equipment card, every Ruin Your Evening card. We have some pet cards, but like, let's I wanted to push for a slightly more competitive approach for the North 100 set reviews. And so this is a card that we skipped there, and we might skip cards like this in the future. It's a commander card. I can talk about this. Biosynthetic Burst, 1 and a green for an instant. You put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, and it gains reach, trample, and indestructible until end of turn. Untap it. I'm a fan of combat tricks. I'm a fan of protective abilities in Canlander. You only get so many. If you're playing them, they need to be 1 mana. Simple as. Or if they're 2 mana, they need to do something additional, right? They need to either really push damage, a la Invigorated Rampage or like Colossal or Collision Colossus, or they need to have some kind of modal aspect to them, like Opera Song or whatever. Especially if they are like the cards that save your creature. Telegraphing a 2-mana spell is really difficult, but telegraphing a 1-mana spell is a lot easier to do. And there are plenty of 1-mana cards that protect your creature, and also provide some additional benefit. You know, Snakeskin Veil, Blossoming Defense, Legolas's Quick Reflexes, whatever. And you only get so many of them, and I don't think I'm playing this card over any of them. Even if you want more like expensive versions of doing this, just like play Overprotect or whatever. Like there are just better ways of getting this. Also, it doesn't give hexproof, right? It gives only indestructible. So a little rough in a world where some of the best removal in our format is exile. I do think that, I guess the full set's out. I think that green is like pretty bad in this set. I think it's pretty commander coded. Edge Rover. 1 green for a 2/2 artifact creature robot scout with reach, and when this creature dies, each player creates a lander token. Why in 2025 are we playing a card that gives our opponent a benefit, especially when it is an artifact? Giving them an artifact, not great. Not interested. Especially one that accelerates them. Especially for what? A 1-mana 2/2 with reach? I'm good. There's just better cards to play than this one. 1 mana for a 2/2 is not what it used to be. Eumidian Terrabotanist. 1 and a green for a 2/3 insect druid that has landfall. Whenever a land enters under your control, you gain a life. This one's kind of cute. I do think that the lands deck is one that is really deserving of a look over, because it's just the card. Like I have never bought into the propaganda of the lands deck being pushed out by stuff like the initiative. It was pushed out because all the lands players started playing the initiative because it was their new tool. The lands deck is still, whether it be the all-in combo version or a lands, mid-range-esque kind of deck, or like a hybridized lands deck, still good. Still really good. Likely not really good because of cards like this, but I did want to mention this because it is just a more reasonable stat line than Kazandu Nectarpot. And so if you really want to play a cheap creature that you can tutor up with a green Sun Zenith or whatever, that has genuine board presence, that Jetty Offshoot doesn't have, that can help offset your fast bond combo or just gain you infinite life, this is one of them. Again, I'm not giving this card an award, but it's kind of like, oh, hey, look, it's better. Exploration Brood Ship. 1 green for an artifact spacecraft with station. Station 3+ says you can play an additional land on each of your turns. And Station 8+ gives it flying, makes it a 4/4, and says once during each of your turns you can cast a permanent spell from your graveyard by sacrificing a land in addition to its other types. I don't think this card's pretty good. I think that this card is a little cute. Maybe has a little bit of a niche application. But if you've played against the Lands X, them getting out Exploration doesn't do much. You really need the Fast Bond, because Fast Bond gives you that mana advantage, gives you the combo kill, and lets you really leverage your land destruction. Exploration lets you leverage your land destruction, but not in a way that lets you progress the game. And that's not great. Like, if you're just blowing up a land every turn, try to be at parity, that's just hard to do when everything costs 1 mana or is free or like decks can just recover so easily, or they play Moxen or whatever. And so exploration is not fast bond, is what I'm saying. And now this is an exploration that you need to tap. You need to charge it before it can do that. This flying, like, final part of this card is kind of neat, but we already have the rebuy ability off of Walk-in Closet, a Crucible of Worlds that is less vulnerable than Crucible of Worlds, that also just lets us use our infinite mana to likely win the game. So I'm pretty low on this card. Again, continuing to be pretty low on spaceships. I just think there are better cards to play, and also getting a bad exploration is not what is going to help fix the land stack, nor is it really what the land stack is looking for. And the all-in combo version is likely not going to be able to even get the exploration online. So despite this being 1 mana, I'm pretty low. What spaceships are good? I like the 1 mana blue one. Spaceships are very much commander cards. Speaking of, well, not entirely. I actually kind of like this card. Famished Worldsire. 8-drop green creature hits the table. Shivam immediately resubscribes. What up, dude? How you doing? Thank you for all the support. For people that don't know, Shivam and I recorded our episode for Ravnica City of Guilds, and it's over 2.5 hours long. And then we recorded the leftovers episode for Ravnica City of Guilds, and it was about an hour long. So if you wanted to hear Shivam and I talk about Ravnica City of Guilds for, like, I don't know, almost 4 hours, there you go. Oh, I knocked over my controller. My fight stick. I can't see anything without my fight stick. Famished Worldsire. 5 green for a 0/0 Leviathan with Ward 3 and Devour Land 3. So if you're not familiar with Devour is an ability from Alara block that has Devour, typically Devour is creatures, but in this case it's devouring lands and then number. So as this creature enters, you may sacrifice any number of lands, and it enters with 3 times that many 1/1 counters on it. So if I have Famished Worldsire coming into play, before it even hits the battlefield, as it's coming into play, if I sacrifice 4 lands, this enters as a 12/12. And when this creature enters, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is this creature's power. Put any number of lands from among them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. I think this card has potential, a ton of combo potential. It can really just, I mean, if you are a land heavy deck, which this may come as a shocker, but I think lands is, especially if you're like this is something that I want to play in like a natural order combo land strategy. Yeah, you could just churn through your deck. Like, you can just plop everything into play. This is the kind of card that makes me want to re-explore Amulet of Vigor in normal combo lands, but also maybe just try out Amulet Titan. It looks expensive without cheating it in, Sour and Sublimes, because it is expensive without cheating it in. But good news for everybody. What are lands decks using for their points? Like, what are we using for points? I'm waiting. It's usually Demonic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, Strip, and like what? Natural Order? That's 7 points. You can muck about. You can do different spreads. You can play spreads with blue and have Time Walk combos. You could do spreads with Moxen, with Soul Ring, whatever. But the point I'm getting is that usually you have room for Natural Order, or you have room for cards that cheat on mana or accelerate mana. So like a lands deck looking to generate a ton of mana can get up to 8. But also, it's a deck with tutors and natural order. So, like, natural ordering this into play is not that tough of a sell, especially because that's a deck that is like, when that deck is casting natural order, it's usually resolving a natural order to find Primeval Titan, Titania, Protector of Argoth, or Ramanap Excavator. So, oh, and yes, I guess they're using Ren and 6 if they have red. But yeah, I like this card for combo applications in the lands decks. Not the lands mid-range, but like, I don't know. Also, this card just hits play as like a massive threat with Ward 3. It's not unrealistic for this card to just show up and kill people. There's no way to move counters onto this thing. No, you can. The Devour is a replacement effect. So it enters with however many counters from your Devour. But with this triggered ability on the stack, if you modify its power, you will be able to hit more lands. But I don't know how much more you need, right? Somebody was mentioning like Valakut, and it's like, yeah, if this comes into play and eats 7 lands or 8 lands, right? You are hitting like a fifth of your deck. And by the time this hits play, it's probably like a quarter of your remaining deck. Also, I have a foil copy of this card, so I'm excited to play it. Ooh. Frenzied Baloth. Green for a 3/2 beast with this spell can't be countered, trample, haste, creature spells you control can't be countered, combat damage can't be prevented. I am lower on this card than most people, but also I think most people are just pogging to all the words that are on this card. Right? Like, this card just has so many words on it, and they're like, oh my god, looks like 2020 green cards are back at it again, or yeah, Questing Beast Jr. or whatever. I look at this card and I see that it dies to shock, that it trades with a 2-power creature, and all that. The interesting part about this card is, I'm not saying this card's bad, but this card isn't, it's like, it's not the be all end all, right? It's a card that you play because it's very cheap to tutor up with like a Green Sun Zenith that you can get on the turn that they look to get their One Ring. That's the best part about this card. The best part about this card is that after they play their One Ring, they can't Force of Will this card, and you get to push damage through their protective turn on the One Ring. That's what you play this card for. If you want to play like a you can't counter my cards, Allosaurus Shepherd, or Allosaurus Shepherd? Yeah, Allosaurus Shepherd is a bit of a easier option to justify, especially for like an Elves deck or like even like a Nadu deck or whatever. This card might be fine in like a Nadu deck. Like, it is less of a damn Gruul Monsters is eating good, and more of a like, oh, this is a neat little tech to use against the One Ring, and also, you know, maybe you're using this for combo applications. But it's just 2 toughness is so vulnerable. It's 2 mana, so it's hard to argue, and like is genuinely annoying in certain matchups. But the way people are freaking out about this card is classic preview season discussion, you know? Yeah, Shepherd's only green spells, but I mean, sure, my Nadu, my Craterhoof Behemoth, my I don't know, my Samwise Gamgee, my whatever. Do most decks run the One Ring? No, not every deck, but it is a popular card. And it's also a card that people, it's a card that you'll get people not entirely agreeing on whether or not it should show up in certain lists, which is kind of cool. Like, if you're against an artifact deck, yeah, they'll have the One Ring. But if it's like control, not every control deck plays the One Ring. Not every mid-range deck plays the One Ring. But it's a nice little tool to have in your back pocket. This card's kind of funny. Oh, yeah. People love be countered. They love can't be countered. They hate countering your spells. Commander players hate having their spells countered. Ooh. I didn't even look at this card. I don't like it in the way that it looks, but Gene Pollinator. Hi, everybody. Gene Pollinator. 1 green for a 1/2 artifact creature robot insect that has tap an untapped permanent you control. Add 1 mana of any color. That's kind of interesting. We've seen similar-ish cards like Sentinel Stalwart, which taps untapped creature or artifact. It is kind of interesting that this is an artifact and can tap your baubles and whatever for additional mana. I don't think it's worth playing, but it's better than it looks, especially if you're tapping anything. Just the fact that you could tap anything other than itself. Yeah, it taps enchantments. Taps planeswalkers. I just hadn't really noticed that. Hemosymbic Might. 1 green for a 1/1 Might that says whenever this creature becomes tapped, another target creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn, or X. Wait. Hey, what gives? What do you mean Might creature type? You didn't just want to make this an insect? This is very cute. I love this little guy. It has big Snom vibes. I'm not a huge fan of this card. This already exists in the form of Surfarin, and Surfarin? Yeah, Surfarin kind of exists. And even though this says, tapped, like when it becomes tapped, not just when it attacks, I'm good. It's just this is one of the kind of cards where like you build up a scenario with it that is totally unnecessary. Unnecessary, much like making the Might creature type. Very weird. Horizon Explorer. 2 and a green for an insect scout. It's a 2/4. It says lands you control enter untapped. And whenever you attack a player, create a lander token. I like this card for the aforementioned, like maybe Amulet of Vigor in Canlander and lands combo especially is worth another review. Because you can Green Sun Zenith for this card. It's cheap enough that if you're on like a reanimate, like Unearth kind of package, Helping Hand package, Sabine's Reclamation, whatever, you can target it with that. It's easy to accelerate off of Mana Dorks. It's only a single green pip. It has 4 toughness as opposed to 3, which means that it dodges that. Dodges Bolt, dodges a lot of common removal. As well as the fact that it's not a legendary creature, which the Wandering Minstrel, because we just received a second copy of this. I have to imagine if Amulet isn't good enough, that this isn't good enough. Well, here's the thing, is that for cards like this and effects like this, redundancy is really important, right? You might not want to play a single card that does this, but now we have a 1-drop that does it, we have a 2-drop that does it, we have a 3-drop that does it. The 1-drop can be found off Urza Saga and a bunch of cheap tutoring. The 2-drop and the 3-drop can both be found off Green Sun Zenith and Eladamri's Call and all that stuff. That's huge, right? You have redundancy, you have pieces that can be found off of cards that you are likely already playing. So now we can maybe start to work around it. And just because it doesn't necessarily exist now doesn't mean it won't exist from this card coming out. There are only so many people playing Canadian Highlander, especially compared to bigger formats. And Canlander players, frankly, don't innovate enough. Like, they don't put in the reps. It's a lot more appealing to, keep shooting free throws and knowing that you're going to get them in, right? Instead of innovating. Why innovate when I can just win with the same deck that I've always been playing? That's not true for all players, right? But, you know, it's people, it's a hobby, right? People like what they like. They get stuck in their ways. Why innovate? There's no drive to necessarily do so. And when people do so, you end up getting some cool results, right? I guess what I'm saying is also just like Canadian Highlander players and Magic players in general tend to have a real tough time revisiting cards. They will play with a card and will be like, well, when I played with this card X amount of years ago, it was not good. And so this card is now logged into my brain as bad. And despite the landscape of the format, the landscape of the game changing and getting new tools, they still have it logged in their head as bad. So that sucks. That's not a great mentality. And often you see when you do see successful innovation, it comes from people willing to revisit cards that may not have shown up at the right place in time, right? Especially for combo decks. Like if you follow, perfect example, you follow Amulet Titan. What's their name? There's a name of like a Moto grinder. They have like one of the highest conversion rates on Magic Online in modern leagues, and they only play Amulet Titan, and they play different versions of Amulet Titan, but they will pump out some of the wildest shit and get there, and will acknowledge like, yeah, this is like a genuine sub brew of Amulet Titan. No, not canister. I'm talking like huge conversion rate. Like it makes you blush when you look at it. Yeah, it's innovation, revisiting your deck, like revisiting old cards, sub builds and decks, all things that I think the Canadian Highlander community should look more into, and they do, to give them credit at times, but you know. Anywho, this also makes artifacts. You could just attack people and make Wayfarer's Baubles. You don't even need to attack with this. Ice Till Explorer. 2 green for a 2/4 Insect Scout. It says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. You may play lands from your graveyard and landfall mill a card. It's very cool that we have both an exploration and a Ramanap Excavator, a Crucible Worlds tied in one. I know that I said that exploration in the lands deck doesn't really do that much, but it is incredible when it is all stapled to one card, right? We are taking 2 effects, both ones that we want, but cards that we don't necessarily want them in their original form, right? I mean, calling exploration the original is a little weird, but you get what I mean, right? Tacking on an additional land drop plus playing from the graveyard on a single card that can be found off of Green Sun, Eladamri's Call, Natural Order, Eldritch Evolution, Neoform, all these different things very easily is great, right? And it's on a body. 4 mana isn't cheap, but a little bit easier to get when you are a deck with Fast Bond, potentially Mana Dorks. Depending on your build, you could even be on like Moxen, Soul Ring, Lotus, all that stuff. That manages to dodge the most common removal threshold of 3 damage. Manages to do so without being legendary. And yeah, you just like it's also I think I mentioned this in our North 100 set review, although the second episode's not out until next week, is that this card sneakily has an ETB effect in that you play this card, your opponent doesn't get priority once it hits play, and then you take a game action, which is playing one of your lands. They can then respond to it because of the mill trigger, which honestly makes me think that's the reason this is on here. Like, imagine playing this card and you're like, game action, wasteland from the graveyard. Game action, strip from the graveyard, blow up your 2 things. And they're like, okay, Now I'll respond. The milling a card means that they have a little bit of a say in that category, as rare as that may seem. And on that note, whenever a land ETB's mill a card it's not great. The land stacks like to mill their library or draw their library. Typically, we're doing so through the Horizon lands, because a lot of the lands builds, especially the combo builds, were in color combinations where they got to run Nurturing Peatland, Horizon Canopy, and Silent Clearing if they really wanted to. But with the creation of Surveil lands, you don't really need them as much. Obviously, fast spawn looping with a Surveil land, you mill your deck until you hit whatever land configuration you want to use to kill them. Could be Barbarian Ring, could be Cephalid Colosseum, whatever. Or you mill until you mill your Savine's Reclamation, and then you flashback Savine's Reclamation, and then you get the actual pieces to kill them. So the milling on this isn't huge, but there are spots where you might not have a Surveil land, you might not have something to set it up, and so it can contribute to that. Yeah, I'm interested in playing this card and trying this card out. Oh, excuse me. Big yawn. Ahoy, Chunk. How you doing? Loading zone. 3 and a green for an enchantment that says if one or more counters would be put on a creature, spacecraft, or planet you control, twice that many of those counters are put on it instead, and then it has warp for a single green. I'm good. I don't think I need this. I will say there are play patterns with this card where it is pretty explosive in the counter shell of just like paying a single green, going to combat, double up the counters here, bash for a bunch, and then later you get to replay it. But 4 mana for this effect later on, not great. I mean, if you're playing Hardened Scales, you might want to play this one as well, or this one instead, or just realize maybe I shouldn't be playing Hardened Scales. Or maybe realize that there are just better cards to add to your counters deck that don't have counters on them, and you're okay with that. Scruff, back for the 75th month. Happy Friday, and a very merry Friday to you. Glad to have you. Good to see how you doing, how you been. Thank you so much for all the support. This one's kind of funny. Melt Strider's Gear. It's a single green for an artifact equipment that says when this equipment enters, you attach to a creature control. Equipped creature gets +2/+1, has reach, has equip 5. It's a Dark Steel Axe that automatically not Dark Steel Axe, Trusty Machete that automatically equips, but I believe we got this in a while ago of Rosethorn Halberd, although Rosethorn Halberd can only attach to a non-human. So 5 generic for equip is not great, but it's kind of cool that it's like, you know, it's like an aura or whatever, permanently giving +2/+1. And then if you are a green deck that has excess mana lying around, as you are often going to run into, then sure, the equip's there. I'm not super enthused to play this card, obviously. Melt Strider's Resolve. 1 green for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature you control. When this aura enters, enchanted creature fights up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. An enchanted creature gets +0/+2 and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. I guess I will give a shout out to the I'd call it Bestow Beatdown, or Sanctum Stompy, one of the two. It's a 1 mana spell that happens to be an aura that fights. So it's 1 mana removal. The enchantment decks have a bunch of 1 mana removal. But they're always being a little awkward. This is just a nice 1 mana fight spell that also provides some reasonable combat stats. So if you're a deck that cares about cheap enchantments that also has a board presence, it's fine. Is Bogles in Canlander? I have not updated Bogles in a long time. I used to have a 5-color Bogles list that was one of the least fun experiences that you could have playing Highlander. It you just would mulligan aggressively to a Bogle, and then you would just slap every unholy strength and like what's it call it, ethereal armor kind of effect. And back then there just weren't that many edicts or ways of getting rid of these cards, and you would just kill them. It was very terrible. You played like you were 5 color, you had like Undiscovered Paradise, City of Brass, and all that shit. It was mostly a deck I wanted to experiment with the old mulligan that we had, where you could get 2 6s, 2 5s, etc. Now I just think it's not even that scary, right? Like there's probably I mean, I played a banned hexproof deck that was also just like, when I didn't do the thing, my deck felt terrible. When I did the thing, my deck felt like I wasn't even playing Magic, and why would I want to do that? So maybe there is something there still. I'm good. Yeah, it's just you only have so many hexproof creatures. Admittedly, we have gotten more with Saiba Cryptomancer. Like, what do we have here? Glade Cover Scout, Slippery Bogle, Basara Tower Archer, Invisible Stalker. Neither of these count. You could maybe make a claim for Paradise Druid. Sure, why not? Paradise Druid, Cyber Cryptomancer, Solana Ledgewalker. We're at 7. 7 hexproof creatures at 2 or less. You get a couple more when you go up to 3, but we're really looking for 1s and 2s. They acknowledge that hexproof just sucks. Like, it's not fun. It isn't enjoyable. And yeah, like you can just build. It's just, why would you don't really need your threat to be untargetable if you just play a good like better cards, right? Like what if instead of Slippery Bogle and Glade Cover Scout and then playing cards like Rancor and Ethereal Armor and whatnot to make them threatening, we instead invert that by playing inherently threatening creatures like Ocelot Pride and Nethergoyf and Guide of Souls, and then we protect them with Force of Will or Legolas's Quick Reflexes, or we let them die and we just cast Unearth or Reanimate. You know, that's the issue. You could probably do something, right? Like the colors and the cards are there. We have been getting more redundant copies. But it's not particularly fun. It's not particularly powerful. Damn, that's a lot of skin showing. Yeah. It's like a thing you could do. I've done it at least in the past couple of years. And it did not spark any joy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wild. Might Form Harmonizer. 2 green for an insect druid that is a 4/4. It has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, double the power of target creature you control, Lamau, and has warp for 2 and a green. So this is one of these cards that has a pretty expensive warp cost, all things considered. But when you warp this, it is just a combat trick. You are warping this because it is going to act as a pretty powerful combat trick for fetch lands. I think I am going to try this in the landfall aggro deck, but I wouldn't be surprised if I played it and then cut it in like 6 hours to 6 months. But there are, like, you can construct play patterns where you're like, warp this out, play a fetch land, double this creature's power twice, try to kill them, and then if it doesn't work, then they have to deal with my board anyways, and if they don't, they're dead. If they do, then I just cast this for 4, and then I get to do it again. Does anybody want to take a guess as to what I'm fiddling with in my hands? I have in my hand a stack of cards or card adjacent magic product that I'll give you a hint was featured in a banned and restricted list update at some point in time in the past 10 years. I'm just futzing about with them. The Power 9? No. Yeah, Angel knows what they are. 25th anniversary cards, playset of opals, rampaging raptor. No. I'll show you. Anybody like stickers? Anybody like stickers? Some name stickers and some. Anybody like stickers? I didn't own all the stickers. I only had the ones for Mind Goblin, and I wanted to get the remaining stickers. I'm gonna get PTSD. Look, I gotta tell you, the only time, or not the only time, but one of the few times that I've actually felt inspired with new-ish Commander decks that I've seen was when I recorded Commander at home. Rachel Weeks was also there recording, and she played her Norin the Wary. I don't know why I don't put that's because I copied her list. Her Norin the Wary deck that it looks to put a sticker on Norin and then blink him a bunch. And I was like, damn, this actually looks fun. A thing I haven't really said about much Commander. This deck looks so dope. So yeah, that's why. Also, who knows? Maybe I need to build a cube for work or whatever that involves them. Ouroboros. Love the name of this card. 2 green for a 1/3 plant worm that says at the beginning of combat on your turn, put X 1/1 counters on each creature you control where X is this creature's power. We didn't talk about this in the set review, mostly because this is a 4-mana 1/3 that technically doesn't have an ETB that dies to bolt, which is pretty bad. But this does fall into the category of magic cards where it's like, well, if you don't deal with it, you are going to lose the game, right? Because by itself, everything gets a +1/+1 counter. Then the next turn they get 2, and then the next turn they get 4, etc., etc. Yeah, it's each creature. And then combine this with like any counter doubling or any other kind of effects that would bolster its power and toughness. And this can get out of hand. I don't think it's good enough, but we didn't talk about this, and I was like, I'm going to fucking die to this card in Canlander, aren't I? Like, somebody's going to kill me with this card. They're going to play it, and I'm going to be like, why are you playing this? And then I'm going to lose. And then at the end of the night, I'm going to go 3-1, and I'm going to talk to them, and I'll be like, what was your record? And they're like, I went 1-3, but I had a lot of fun. And I'll be like, yeah, you're probably doing it right. You know? This card costs 1 mana, so I'll talk about it. Sammy's Curiosity. Single green for a sorcery. You gain 2 life and create a lander token. I imagine this card will be pretty popular for Commander. Wayfarer's Bauble doesn't see any play. The fact that this is a sorcery and gains you 2 doesn't really matter that much. Technically lets you ramp. Interesting card. Not for our format, I don't think. If it was a clue, I still wouldn't play it. Yeah. Like, we already have a card that is a blue sorcery, so it's even better than anything else. 1 mana, make a 0/3 blocker and a clue, and that sees like 0 to like very rarely sees play. Yeah, green in this set is not great. It's very commandery, very much for the limited environment. It's really interesting. I like it a lot, but it's just not powerful. Hi, Bubba. Yeah, hi. Oh, yeah. Sledge class siege ship. 2 and a green for an artifact spacecraft with station. And it only has 7+, where it becomes a 4/5 flying creature that says whenever this spacecraft attacks, you can put a creature card from your hand into play. Nope, I'm good. Just play that Grimoire. That Eldrazi deck we played against Angel was so real. That's one of those decks where I played it. Sometimes when we do our streams, I play a deck and I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll never play this again. Or like, I'll play this, I'll tell people, like, I'm glad I played it so that if somebody asks, like, hey, Ben, I'm looking for a deck that does this, I get to go like, oh, I played this, and, you know, it technically did the thing. It did what it said on the box. But that mono green Eldrazi deck, ton of fun. I think that deck is real. Like, you could bring that and it could win a tournament. And also incredibly vindicated at how highly I evaluated Yuna's decision. How many good ways are there to animate this before you station it? No, it needs to have 7+ charge counters to get this ability, which includes the 4/5, I believe. Yeah, this card stinks. Terra Symbiosis. 2 and a green for an enchantment. This is whenever you put 1 or more 1/1 counters on a creature you control, you may draw that many cards. Do this only once each turn. This is genuinely a bit of a powerful effect. Typically, though, when you're putting on counters, you're only doing it in increments of 1. And so this is 3 mana, draw 1 card. But only if you have an additional card that puts counters on without doing anything else. And then also, like, this is just divination. This is like green divination, but not in a good way. Sorry, I had to brush Mulder. And this was a card that we were going to talk about on North 100, and then I said, no, let's move away from these kind of cards. Let's keep these cards for Commander. All right, on to Multicolor, which you know what that means. Let's get an ancient Coke. That's right. I'm drinking a Diet Coca-Cola from the year 1962. The art is very socialist propaganda coded. Yeah, it rips. The art in the set is great. Although, knowing Magic players at the end of the day, they're just going to go like, have you seen that Dominic Man? You won't believe what you'll find if you Google their name with controversy. It has actual... Is that supposed to be cunt? You can just say the word. Please don't censor yourself. You're an adult. It's fine. This is for the context of education. Now, somewhere, my mother got very upset that I said that word. But that's neither here nor there. This is for education. Oh, Coke. Oh, yes, the one with actual Coke. You could just say the word Coke. Or at the very least, say redacted. Where are we? We're in the multicolor. Oh, hold on. Thank you. I'll take any opportunity to randomly brush my cat. Space-time anomaly. 2 white and a blue for a sorcery that says target player mills cards equal to your life total. Scare a commander player in 1 card. Mill is not very good in 100 card singleton when the objective is to kill your opponents instead of hide from the horrors of the world around you for like 3 hours every weeknight or once a week on a weeknight. Yeah. There's also just, if you want to like mill a shitload of cards, there are just easier ways of doing this. Station Monitor. White and a blue for a 2/2 Lizard Artificer. It says whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you create a 1/1 colorless drone artifact creature token with flying, and this token can block only creatures with flying. So this isn't exactly Corey Seal Cutter. This card is not exactly whatchamacallit, the mythic rare. The cool mythic. This is kind of funny because I saw people talking about this card and they're like, damn, it's like Corey Steel Cutter. Damn, it's like whatever. You know, these other cards. This card's surely got to be good. We have this card. Or no, not Clarion Conqueror. Clarion Spirit. We have this card. We've had a 2-mana 2/2 that makes tokens when you cast your second spell. Except these tokens can fly. Well, the other tokens can also fly. But these tokens can block normal creatures. Excuse me. Yeah, it does make artifacts, which is not nothing. But I think I'm not saying this card is bad. And I'm actually, I think that there is likely we've seen blue-white prowess pop up a bit. And I think the blue-white prowess deck, or the blue-white tempo deck, I should say, that does play cards like Clarion Spirit, like this, like the Cosmogrand, and like the card that Flat Eric is mentioning, the Sage of the Skies, the 3-mana 2/3 flyer lifelink that makes a copy of itself. I think all those cards can show up in that deck. And it's nice that deck has more of an identity to it than the red variations. A lot of the red decks that care about prowess and casting multiple spells, they are really incentivized to just dump their hand. Whereas the blue-white decks, or the blue-white X decks, they get to multi-spell, keep like a flow of cards, and take over the game like that. They have lower highs, but they play a more consistent game of Magic the Gathering. That might actually be a downside because Canadian Highlander can be incredibly high rolly, right? And sometimes you want that pop off. But, it's nice that there is some variety to the colors that you can play for that kind of strategy and the kind of speed in which you play that. When a new set comes out, do I make a list of cards I want to pre-order them, or do I usually wait for prices to settle? When a new set comes out, myself, Ben, Serge, and Nelson go through the product that we receive from Wizards of the Coast for the PPR and for making content as a part of whatever the ambassador program and our weird relationship is, which is hashtag. It's not technically, well, hold on. I don't want to get into the specifics of this, but people are like, I saw this before where they're like, this is sponsored. WotC gave you the product. It's like the word sponsor means something very specific. Sponsored content is very specific in terms of legality and like the arrangement that we have. And some stuff we do is sponsored, and some things that we do with products supplied by Wizards is not technically sponsored. It's why on certain streams, like the PPR, we're not going to go, damn, I want to jerk off to these Edge of Eternities cards. But on another stream where we might be using product for them, you will see me going, damn, I want to jerk off to these Edge of Eternity cards. So, yeah, endorsed, pick your poison for the word there. But long story short, we get a bunch of product. We then kind of divvy out the cards to each other, whoever needs what for content, right? The important thing being we are looking to get cards into the hands of people that they want to use to make content within the hallowed halls of Loading Ready Run. I do have a list of cards that are higher on priority for content, right? So for instance, the Tezzeret that is in this set, I want to get that Tezzeret so that I can make content using that Tezzeret for loading ready run. But I don't want that Tezzeret to own like permanently, because I am going to go and buy a German foil copy of this card as quickly as possible, right? Like, I don't pre-order, I don't do anything like that, because we get a bunch of product, we open it, we figure it out. I tend to frequent Magic Cons, so I get a bunch of product from going to there, playing at events. You know, it's I tend to wait too. I tend to wait. But it's not a hard and fast. There are some cards, hashtag sponsor the channel, cardkingdom.com. Like, you go there, if there are cards that I know that I want for sure, and just like, I'm okay if they drop. Magic players are so obsessed with the monetary value of their singles, when it's like, yeah, I just want to guaranteed to own a card. I don't care if it's going to drop $5 or whatever, or even $10, because I just wanted to guarantee to own this card so that I could play with this card. You know? Magic players are just so fucking weird when it comes to their money, or lack thereof. It's important to disclose the product was given by the company. Yeah, and we do that. We do that all the time. The problem is that you get people getting really, for whatever reason, you get people that are just even more divorced than I am in comment sections being like, you get the product from Wizards, you're sponsored by Wizards, you need to, you know, you're shills for the company or whatever. It's like, buddy, they won't even let me fuck the reserved list. The conspiratorial nature of Americans is understandable, but God, does it make for terrible comment sections. They always think somebody's out to get them, somebody's out to scam them. And I get it, your government is out to do that and does do that regularly. But I don't know, once in a while, could you just shut the fuck up? It's just so annoying and insufferable. Just every time it's, they're out to get us. They're collabing. I don't know why I turned them into a pirate. They're out to get us. They're giving the product to the Canadians. Yeah, EDSC is scripted. No, that's game nights. Anyway, Station Monitor. I'll try it in blue-white. Alpha Rail. Dreaming Acolyte. I believe this is a character on a black card that we saw before. 1 blue and a black for a 2/3 legendary human cleric that says when Alpha Rail enters, you draw 2 cards, and then you discard 2 unless you discard an artifact, and during your turn, Alpha Rail has Death Touch. Kind of cute that it offers a catalog and an artifact deck. These type of like draw 2, discard 2 are always just better than they look. But it's draw 2, discard 1, kind of appealing. Doesn't matter if you Caracas this. I'm just trying to figure out where I'd want to play this. I could maybe consider playing this in like a blue-black Time Sieve style deck. But even then, I think it might be just a little too slow and a little too unnecessary. Death Touch on your turn means that this attacks well, but that's not a deck that's too into attacking. We already have like Baleful Strix and whatnot. Isn't it a YouTuber? No, this card's a black card. Singularity Rupture. 3 blue, black, black for a sorcery. You destroy all creatures, then any number of target players each mill half their library rounded down. This is a 6-mana Wrath in a format where we don't even play our 4-mana Wraths. Mutinous Massacre. 3 black, black, red, red for a sorcery. Choose 1. Nope. Choose odd or even. Destroy each creature with mana value of the chosen quality. Then, I'm older. Then gain control of all creatures until end of turn. Untap them. They gain haste until end of turn. So you pick 1. You kill all of the creatures of that mana value, of the odd or even, and then you gain control of all the other ones that gain haste. Holy shit, this card is so cool for Commander. I cannot wait to play this card in Commander. Yeah? Yeah, well, you had a little knot, huh? Had a little nap? A little clump of hair I had to get? Oh, that was a big one, huh? I need to give my baby a brush. Oh, this card's not good in Canadian Highlander, but it's really cool for Commander. I've got to imagine there are all these wraths in here because they feel that it's okay to play them with spaceships and with artifacts that animate themselves and all that. YouTuber Alpha Rad. Am I going to regret Googling who this person is? Biotech specialist. Green and a red for a 1/3 insect scientist. It says when this creature enters, create a lander token. Oh, what if I search their name with controversy? It says they're a musician. Why do they look like Brian David Gilbert in a wig? Damn, somebody fucked up their spelling. Yeah, just don't Google their name. White. Yeah. Just don't Google that thing you like plus controversy. 2 mana 1/3 in red green. When the ETBs, you make a lander token. Whenever you sacrifice an artifact, this creature deals 2 damage to target opponent. So this card shares a lot of DNA with the red enchantment, the munitions, whatever. Except you need to sacrifice those artifacts, or those artifacts need to go to the yard to dome any target. This is a creature, which is kind of cool. I don't know why I'd play this. I really don't know. Googling Dominic Mayer inflation instead. You don't even need to Google that. You just need to click your history and click on what you most recently searched. I'll save you a couple of steps. You just go to history, go to that window that says Sonic inflation, and then you just swap that. Yeah, this card just seems a little awkward, a little narrow. I can maybe see it in the Rug Song of Creation kind of deck, or in that Jund Treasures Delirium strategy that we played on stream over the summer. No, earlier this year. I played it against Angel. That deck was kind of cool, and I could see that deck playing this. Yeah, I could see that deck playing this, maybe. Yeah, I'd be interested in trying this. But I don't know how, you know, if it's worth playing. That's the thing. It's just like, why am I playing this? And I can give reasons, but I don't even know if those reasons, it's just like, do I really want this in my song creation deck? None of these decks struggle with killing people. That's the thing. They don't struggle with ending the lives of my opponents. Tanuk Memory. Hey, it's this guy again. Tanuk Memorial Ensign. Ensign, I guess. 1 red and a green for a 2/4 legendary Kavu pilot. It says whenever a land you control enters, Tanuk deals 1 damage to each opponent. If it's the second time this ability is resolved, draw a card. kind of similar to the last one. Like, this does fit into the land shell a bit more. I just don't know if we need it. I don't know if it's necessary. There are only so many cards that we get to play. The fact that you can draw cards off this is okay. And that we could reset it with Caracas if we really want to draw our deck. But then, why aren't we just killing them with the damage? 4 toughness is nice, but being a legendary creature is not. I think I'm just sitting this card out. For reference, Tanuk is Tanuk in the audiobooks. This is a made-up card. I'm good. Also, it's probably my accent. Also, ratio. Diadrine or Diadrine Synthesis Amalgam. X green and a white for a legendary artifact creature construct with trample. It's a 0/1, but it enters with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana you spend to cast it. Whenever you attack, you can remove a 1/1 counter from each of 2 creatures you control, and if you do, you draw a card and make a 2/2 robot. It's kind of a neat mana sink. You can pay 2 mana, get a 2/3 trampler. Excuse me, I got some cat hair in my throat. Removing a counter from each of 2 creatures is a bit of a pisser. To make just a 2/2 drawing card's nice. It just feels a little odd. Why is this legendary? It's legendary so that people can build an artifact +1/+1 counters commander deck that has access to both doubling season and or not doubling season, anointed procession and doubling season. Yeah, there we go. That's it, really it. So that they can play the green-white counters cards in their artifact deck. Why is anything legendary? The answer is because they want to sell cards. I mean, realistically, because they want to sell cards. That's every green-white commander deck, though. Yeah, but you don't have an artifact that does it. So this one you could play in your deck with Arcbound Worker. Also, yes, having multiples of this card in limited could be a lot, but I don't know. I think we're kind of past that point for a lot of cards. Most of the time, when it comes to cards like this, and you're like, why is this here? It's probably because somebody bugged Gavin 2 years ago. Well, this is a construct, so you can play it with your, ooh, what's the card? The Scrapwork Recombiner? Yeah, this one, because this is a construct, and you tutor for constructs, so your green-white counters construct typo with modular. That's why. Sir Vondam Sunstar Exemplar. White and a black for a legendary 2/2 human knight with vigilance and menace, and whenever another creature you control dies or is put to exile, you put a 1/1 counter on Sir Vondam, and you gain 1 life. And whenever Sir Vondam dies or is put into exile while its power is 4 or greater, you destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. I think this actually... Do we have the story about this card? Is this a guy? Is this a woman? Is it any of my business? Quick, we need to know whether or not the subreddit wants to talk about jacking off to them. Sir Vondam. Are they in the story? He's important. He's Halia's knight. All right. I like this card. I like all the text on this card. I don't know where I'm playing this card. I'm not too enthused. I mean, you could maybe play this in like an Aristocrats deck where you want to go a little bit higher. Honestly, I think this card might see play in Samwise combo. Or like a Legends, like a, you could maybe just run this in like Orzhov Humans or Orzhov D&T. It gets big very quickly. It scales into the late game quite well. And when it dies, it does a powerful thing. But where am I playing this and why am I playing this is always a little weird. It is kind of funny to get this to be huge and then blink it and then kills the thing and then comes back and then you do it again. Momenon Uthros Exile. 1 blue and a red for a 1/3 legendary jellyfish advisor with flying. And whenever an artifact you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. This card's not bad. It's just a shame that it is not an artifact itself and is a little bit expensive for what it's doing. Like, this is a very powerful ability, and the fact that you could pass it around is quite nice. But it being a legend and being 3 mana and also dying to bolt immediately, it's just there are too many things going against this card, especially when there is another card in this set at this mana value that is just better. In fact, I'm going to talk about it right now. Pinnacle Emissary. 1 blue and a red for a 3/3 artifact creature robot with warp for a hybrid blue and a red. That says whenever you cast an artifact spell, you create a 1/1 colorless drone artifact creature token with flying, and this token can block only creatures with flying. So this card's absurd. This card is so good. Okay, hear me out. So you pay 1 to warp it. Then you play Moxen, Baubles, Eggs, cheap creatures. Maybe you throw in a Frogmite or a Mirror Enforcer or whatever. And every time you do, you make an additional artifact, right? So I warp this. I play a Bauble. I get an artifact. Then I get my Bauble. And then I play a Mox. And I get my artifact, then I get my Mox. Then I tap this Mox, and I play a 1-mana artifact. Then I get an artifact, and my Mox, etc. It just, there's so much that builds up, right? And then it goes away. Because I played all my spells, right? I've put this into play, and I played all my spells. Then, once they've dealt with my board, or if they've tried to deal with my board, I get to do it again. I just get to cast it from exile and do it again. The fact that this casts from exile is also kind of huge if you are a version of this deck that plays draw 7s. Are you a Sun Cat? Do you want to be a Sun Cat? Yeah, you want to be a Sun Cat? No, you want to be a Ben Cat. You want to be a Dad Cat. Yeah. You're a Dad Cat. You want to be a Dad Cat. You want to get scritched by Papa. The fact that you can like draw 7, have this tuck away in exile, and then play out all your stuff again, or just warp it, get a big board. Then now that you have a big board, you can tap your Academy. You can tap your everything, use all your mana at a later date or at a time that you have then restocked your mana, and then bam, we're back at it again. And that's huge, right? It's so good. And it's an artifact, so you can tutor for it, and it's non-legendary. I don't care that it dies the bolt. That is a downside, but the fact that you're going to get so much from it and it's so cheap and it tucks itself away, like, holy shit, this card's good. This card is so good. Yeah. Busted. Probably one of the cards I'm most excited to play with in this set. Cosmogoyf. Black and a green for a star, 1+ elemental Lurgoyf. This creature's power is equal to the number of cards you own in exile, and its toughness is equal to the number +1. So this one's pretty funny. It is not a Nethergoyf. It is not a Tarmogoyf, despite the Lurgoyf and all the words there. But we can make it that. Like, there are a lot of instances of cards getting exiled. Cards that get exiled to Inti or to Lelia. Cards that get exiled from Deathrite Chauvin, Scavenging Ooze. That get evoked. That get what's the guy's name? The Esper guy. Well, he's actually Orzhov, but Ketramos, like Ketramos stuff, right? Not to mention, comboing this card with Tainted Pact or with Demonic Consultation is not nothing for Jund. Jund already has a point spread where you could be on Tainted Pact with this card, right? Like the Jund deck with the Lelia, with the Demonic Consultation, with the kill for with Tainted Pact or whatever, has another card that you can use that with. Not to mention, this card, for starters, people aren't playing enough Tainted Pact. People aren't playing enough Demonic Consultation. Those cards are cracked, right? Demonic Consultation is restricted in Vintage, banned in Legacy. Like, that card is unbelievable. And especially, you trade in the whole, like, oh, you're a deck with 4 ofs for an additional 40 cards. And, like, yeah, if your card is in that top 6, you're losing the game immediately. But often, if it's not in that, you're often just winning the game immediately. And so that's the part that people don't entirely like. Like, it just scares them, right? It's the fact that people are like, I have to win. If I flipped a coin and lost and had to give $10, I would need to win like $40 on that coin flip in order for them to accept that bet. It's just, it really mucks with their brain. But like, card is busted. Card is underplayed. And this is a card that fits into a pre-existing shell that can already run that kind of effect. Not to mention, if you are a deck with like enough flings, you know, let's say I'm a combo deck that uses Cosmogoyf plus Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pact, and I'm literally just playing this card or playing Lelia, and then I cast a Tainted Pact or a Demonic Consultation to find, like, I go through my deck until I find my Thud, or until I find that, like, Eldraine card. What the fuck is it called? The 2-mana one that sees play in Pioneer and saw some play in Standard. It's got an adventure. Long story short, that's just a kill. That's a 4-mana kill in with cards that are just like totally reasonable to play by themselves. So this isn't as straightforward as like a Lurgoyf or another Goyf, but can be reasonably large, especially if you are in a Jund deck, or if you play even just a couple of cards that you should probably already be looking into playing in the first place, right? Or like Sultai, like Sultai Beans, the Sultai Delve deck, the Sultai Murktide Abhorrent Oculus, Gurmag Angler, Treasure Cruise kind of deck. This card gets huge, right? Oh, what up, EK? How you doing? Callous Sellsword. Thank you. Thank you. Sure. Scouring Swarm. 1 black and a green for a 1/1 insect with flying that says whenever you sack a land, create a tap token that's a copy of this creature if you have 7 or more lands in your graveyard. Otherwise, you create a tapped 1/1 black insect token with flying. No, I'm good. It's like a bad Scoot Swarm, and Scoot Swarm doesn't see play. This one's kind of cool, but it's very expensive. I guess I'll talk about this stupid card because you may or may not see me play this at the PPR on Monday. Ragost Deft Gastronaut. Red and a white for a legendary lobster citizen. It's a 2/2. Artifacts you control are foods in addition to their other types and have 2 generic tap. Sack this artifact, you gain 3 life. Then you can pay 1 generic tap and sack a food, and Ragost deals 3 damage to each opponent. Now, at the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, you untap Ragost. Obligatory Surge card. I don't want to talk about this card too much because the set review, we did talk about this card a good deal. My take is I don't think this card's very good. Despite the fact that this is like huge damage, like genuinely, this is a lot of damage. Maybe if food ends up becoming like a 4-color monstrosity where you like have a combo kill, sure, but I don't know. I'm excited to play this at the PPR. You want a little spoiler chat? Here, I'll give you a secret little hint. The embargo's lifted, right? I can show these cards. Somebody want to help me before I break some kind of NDA? I mean, the whole set is out. Is there content? There's content with these cards, right? I can show this on camera. Great. I'm going to be cooking up something at the PPR. I'm going to be cooking up something at the PPR. I think I need to figure out what I'm doing with this deck though. But my rares are pretty good. My rares are pretty good. So I'm going to try to just lobster up the Sarima. Maybe I Cosmo Grand myself. I don't know. Figure it out. I'll figure something out. Yes, this one. Hold on. Why are you taking forever to load? Mosif Jedi back for the 14th month. 14 months of good food. Food. As that one rapper said. Thank you so much for all the support, Mosif. That's a long-ass time. Means a lot to me. Sammy, Wildcat Captain. 4 red and a white. What the fuck? Are they? Do they have yo-yos? 4 red and a white for a 4/4 legendary human artificer rogue with vigilance and double strike, and spells you cast have affinity for artifacts. So, full disclosure up front, this card's not good. It costs 6 mana. This is a broken ability, but it's too much mana up front and it's not in the right colors. And there are just better value engines to like get it popping than this card, because it's hard to cheat into play. It's hard to do a bunch of things. That said, I think this might be some of my favorite flavor text in the game. The hard way it is. Like, it's such a, this is the good kind of flavor text for me. This is the good shit where it's like, yep. You already, the kind of flavor text that paired with the art, you already know what happened before this card and what is happening during it, and you can just tell what the outcome's going to be. It's a full fucking story. I love this story. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. Like, it's, you know. And brother, the denouement? Woo! Damn. Yeah, cool card. Yeah, even with reanimate, it's just like, why reanimate this when we can reanimate, you know, Atroxo. Yeah, this card, oh god, I would have killed for this card like 10 years ago. Green and a blue for a 2/2 ETB. You make a lander token, pay 8 generic, draw 2 cards, and make a robot. So cool. Gene Morph Imago. Scryfall, what's going on, babe? What's going on, babe? Gene Morph Imago. Green and a blue for a 1/3 insect druid with flying. It says whenever a land you control enters, target creature has base power and toughness 3/3 until end of turn. And if you have 6 or more lands, that creature becomes base power 6/6 until end of turn. It's kind of funny. The color is a little off. Where does this show up? It's not a bad card. It's just not a... This has big, like, Battle for Zendikar landfall. You know? Like, it just... I don't know. It's just... Where am I playing this? Why am I playing this? Is it worth playing? I think the answer is just all no. Pretty annoying, though. Target creature is kind of interesting. It does combo with Nadu. That's not nothing. This is another landfall. Oh, maybe that's it. This is another landfall creature that combos with Nadu. Much like Bristly Bill and Scythecat Cub do. It is very funny that this can brick an opponent's creature. Yeah, maybe I'll try this in a Nadu deck. But it is a little, you know, narrow. Hearth Hull, the World Seed. 1 black, red, and a green for a legendary artifact spacecraft with station. At 2+, it has an activated ability of 1 generic, tap, sack a land, draw 2 cards. You may play an additional land this turn. At station 8+, it has flying, vigilance, and haste. And whenever you sacrifice a land, each opponent loses 2 life. This is a weird Jund Shorakai. And the nice thing about Shorakai is that Shorakai plays to the board, blocks, just draws so many cards, doesn't really require any additional resources, and is only 2 colors. Whereas this is 4 colors, requires some additional oomph to get it going. It's just, there's too much against it. But this card is like pretty wild in Commander, I've got to imagine. Not to get too deep into the sausage, but when I saw this card way back and they're like, check out this new thing that we're doing that we're going to make legal if, you know, we think it's a good thing for Commander. And I looked at this card and I was like, oh. Yeah, this is just Lord Windgrace on steroids. Like, this card is messed up. Especially this last ability. Like, it does this until you're like, are you tapped out? Okay, cool. Anyways, I'm going to crew this up to 8, or station this up to 8. I'm going to sack my board. You're all going to take, like, 14. Then I'm going to play Splendid Reclamation, bring these all back, and kill you. Very cool. Yes, it's one of the Jund Precon commanders. Sarel, Genesis Shepherd. 2 black, red, and a green for a 2/5 legendary creature that's an insect druid with flying. You can play lands from your graveyard, and whenever you sacrifice another non-token permanent during your turn, put a number 1/1 counters equal to Sarzal's power on up to one other target creature. No. 5 mana, 5 toughness. It doesn't really have an ETB if you've already played your land. It's it's a pretty messed up Magic the Gathering card. Like, this is going to be a wild commander as well. But not for Canlander, thankfully. Sun rooftop with the gangsta lean. In Spirit Flagship Vessel. Blue, red, and a white for a legendary artifact spacecraft. It's a 5/5 when it's fully stationed, but we'll get there. Station for 1+. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you put your choice of a 1/1 counter or 2 charge counters on up to one other target artifact. And then at 8+, it has flying, and other artifacts you control have hexproof and indestructible. I think this card may actually show up in exactly one deck, which is the Jeskai version of like an artifact mid-range deck, like a Jeskai affinity deck. Getting it to station 1, it's so easy, right? Station 1, real easy to do. And then it proceeds to help out your other cards to get up to the station 8. And when it gets to station 8, it gets Caracased. But it's the kind of thing that you can slowly build, and then you get the one turn where you get it to station 8 and you smack them for 5 in the air and all that. Very niche, very limited where it shows up. Might not even be that great in that deck, or at least it's a 6-monther, right? It's I wish I had a name for the card. It's on a visa. Is that what I should say? Like it's here. It's just visiting, you know. It's here for 6 months, and then something better is going to come out. But if you're playing Hubris Cannon, well, it's tough to play in Hubris Cannon because it's 3 colors, and Hubris Cannon is mono brown. Kilo, a Pog-E mind. For a Jeskai, you get a 3/3 legendary artifact creature that's a robot artificer with haste. Whenever Kilo becomes tapped, you proliferate. Similarly to that other card, like this, it's a 3/3 with haste that can immediately ramp up your Urza Saga, that can immediately put additional counters on things like your Arcbound Ravager or whatever. Can muck with your opponent's Urza Saga. The mana cost is just a little much, and yeah, that makes it a bit tough. The artifact decks can easily add colored mana. Like, you have your Moxen, you have so many rainbow lands and whatever. You have, obviously, artifact lands that add for different kinds of mana, but it's a little too, like I said in the last set review, your artifact mid-range decks are broken down into your eggs and your enforcers, right? And you need some cards to flesh out the middle, and I don't know if this is worth filling up the middle, you know? Infinite Guideline Station. For a Wooburg, you get a legendary artifact spacecraft that when Infinite Guideline Station enters, create a tapped 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token for each multicolored permanent you control. And then it has Station. And at 12+, it gains flying and says, whenever Infinite Guideline Station attacks, draw a card for each multicolored permanent you control. I gotta tell you, it does feel a little uninspired, but I have kind of come around to like them having Wooburg commanders or cards that basically say like, hey, doors are in every color, and if you want to build a door deck, here's a door deck with whatever the door lady's called, or not doors, rooms. Here's the room lady, so you can room up your rooms, and then you got the 5-color rooms. You're like, oh, okay. Hey, you want to play Mirror? Here's Urtet. It's a mirror deck when you play all your mirror in one place. You want to play Shrines? Here's Go Shintai. You want to play Sagas? Here's Tom Bombadil. Slivers are a given. Eldrazi's a given. Dragons are a given. Marina for the rooms. Hey, you want to play Towns? Here's your 5-color Towns deck. You want to play enchantment creatures that are Sagas? Here's your Terra. It's sure, why not? Just it's a little uninspired, but it's a bone to give to the dogs that are Commander players. This card's not playable in our format. Yeah, we did get a new artifact for Slivers. Anti-casual vestige. Kappa. Anti-causal vestige. 6 mana for a 7/5 Eldrazi. It's colorless. When this creature leaves the battlefield, draw a card. Then you may put a permanent card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. Then it has Warp 4. I mean, this card's not going to see play, but I don't know. Sure. Sure, whatever. This card's kind of funny. 9 mana, 9/9 has Warp 3. Very good at crewing a space station. This basically is just 3 mana, or not crewing, stationing a spacecraft. This is basically just 3 mana, station any spacecraft, except for the one that's about to come up, but you know. Dawnsire Sunstar Dreadnought. 5 mana for a legendary artifact spacecraft. It is colorless. It has station. At 10+, it has whenever you attack, Dawnsire deals 100 damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. But it's not a creature then. It only becomes a creature at station 20+, which then it becomes a 20/20 with flying. I don't know what to tell you. This is like a absolute banger of a design. It could just say destroy. I'm timing you out for having no whimsy. No, I'm not going to do that. This is a card, and I mean this in the most endearing way. This is a card for big dummies. And it's fun to be a big dummy, right? Like, this is aspirational. It's stupid, and it costs a lot. And it's just, you know, it's charming. It's what people want to do in Commander. It's what I honestly, building a Dawnsire Commander deck would be so much fun. You just play this card with a bunch of charge counters, and then you just get the battleship up and ready, and you just shoot your stuffy doll, or you just shoot things out of the air. I guess it says whenever you attack, so all you need to do is get this up to 10, and then you attack with something else, and it domes something for 100. Like, I'm going to buy this card. I'm going to need to get a copy of this card and play in my Ben Benaki Hermit deck. But it's not good. It's just very funny. And this card is infinitely more charming than that stupid cactus, right? Like, this card just sits around. You build up the death laser, and then you start firing the death laser. Whereas the cactus is just like, I don't know. I think I legitimately just got embittered. I didn't become bitter. I've always been bitter. But, you know, I think, because there was some person who, I don't know, how much of a dickhead do I want to be? The kind of people that call themselves content creators because they, like, I don't know, made a video with 20 views 10 years ago. And they're the kind of person that will, like, stand behind you at a urinal and be like, you'll never believe what Commander deck I built. And you're like, I would like to leave, please. Just wouldn't shut the fuck up about that stupid cactus. Anyways, let's talk about a real card. Extinguisher Battleship. This is an 8 mana artifact. It's a spacecraft. It says when this spacecraft enters, you destroy target non-creature permanent. Then this spacecraft deals 4 damage to each creature. And it has station. And at station 5+, it gets flying and trample. This card, I think, is a reasonable tech for Tinker decks. A reasonable tech for artifact ramp decks that don't necessarily have a huge combo payoff. Like, if you're tinkering for Portal to Phyrexia, but you're also, like, you know, just making a shitload of mana, playing out some Planeswalkers, spinning your Urza or whatever, this is a totally reasonable card to tutor up. Destroying a non-creature permanent is nice. You can just use this as a get rid of at least one thing. Can, you know, be a land, can be a Planeswalker, an enchantment, an artifact, whatever. And then just ideally wrap the board. It's kind of nice. It's the kind of thing you play in addition to Portal to Phyrexia in spots where Portal to Phyrexia wouldn't quite cut it. And then getting to Spacecraft and Station for... getting to Station for 5 is easy. Like, for this kind of deck, that is 1 Construct. That is 1 Urza, immediately crew it and crunch. That is, you know, playing... You play out a Hull Breacher and you immediately station it, whatever. That's pretty good. Yeah. So, niche in where it shows up, but it has a role. It has a thing to do. And I imagine that this will, you know, see some play. Wild that it's only like $10. I mean, these prices don't actually matter, but, you know. Will I be at Face-to-Face Tour Ottawa in September? No, I haven't been invited. My September is pretty busy. It's pretty clogged. And I have... The only thing I'm doing is at the very end of the month, I'm going to Atlanta. Moxite Refinery. 2 mana for an artifact that has 2 generic. Tap, remove X counters from an artifact or creature you control. Choose 1. Activate only as a sorcery. Put X counters on X charge counters on target artifact. Put X counters on target creature. I haven't thought of a loop that you use with this card, but I'm good. Just seems like a commander card from a commander set doing commander stuff. I'll play this in Commander or in like Hubris Cannon Memes Unboxing. But that's it. Nutrient Block. 1 generic mana for an artifact food token with Indestructible. You pay 2 generic, tap, sack this artifact, and gain 3 life. When this artifact is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you draw a card. This one goes out to that one player that got really upset about Candy Trail. This card's pretty good. Candy Trail, those that don't know, is a 1-mana artifact that's a food clue. Comes into play, you scry 2, you pay 2 generic, tap, sack, gain 3 life, draw a card. But this card, importantly, just has when it goes to the graveyard, you draw a card. Which means if we incorporate KCI into our board state, we get to sack this, draw a card, and go up a mana. It can put itself into the graveyard if you want to. Or just 2 generic mana. Pretty easy to do. But the fact that it's on sacrifice, meaning that we get to draw this card after we reshape or we tinker or we sack it to KCI is huge. So yeah, this is a good egg. This is a very good egg. Solar Array. A 3-mana artifact that has tap, add 1 mana of any color. And when you next cast an artifact spell this turn, that spell gains Sunburst. For those that don't know what Sunburst is, I think this card may have changed the rules for it. It always interacted this way, but it gaining Sunburst is very weird. I guess there's that Lux... Maybe it's called Lux Array? Or whatever. The point is, Sunburst is, if it's a creature, it enters with a 1/1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. Otherwise, it enters with charge counters. So, if I tap this to add a blue mana, and I cast a 4-mana artifact creature with that blue mana, and then I spend a black, a white, and a red mana, because I have spent 4 different colors of mana, this creature is going to enter with 4 1/1 counters on it. If I used it for, I don't know, like a fucking Magistrate's Scepter, it would enter with all these counters. Instances of Sunburst stack. They're both replacement effects. So I think so. I think you just choose which applies first, but they do the same thing. But I would wait until the rules doc comes out for this set, which I think maybe comes out today. Cool commander card. I mean, at the worst, it's a Manolith. Surge Conductor. 3 mana for a 3/2 artifact creature. It's a robot. It's colorless. It says whenever another non-token artifact you control enters, you proliferate. Okay. Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. I'm going to go pee, and then we'll talk about Tezzeret, because I kind of need to pee now, but I'm going to talk about this card for like 10 minutes. We got a lot to talk about. I'm going to grab my laundry too. Be right back. But this card is absurd. All right. Whoop. Y'all ready? Okay. Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. This is 3 mana, 3 generic mana for a legendary planeswalker, Tezzeret, with 4 starting loyalty. Tezzeret has an ability that says whenever an artifact you control enters, you put a loyalty counter on Tezzeret. And then 0 mana for the first loyalty ability. You untap, or sorry, 0 loyalty. You untap target artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature, you put a 1/1 counter on it. -3 loyalty. You search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then you shuffle. -7, you get an emblem. With, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 3 1/1 counters on target artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. I'm going to go through this card piece by piece. 3 generic mana is probably one of the best mana costs for a planeswalker that we'll ever get. Because it's so easy. First off, 3 mana planeswalker is great. 3 mana planeswalker that you can cast off of any type of fast mana outside of workshop. But, you know, your Soul Ring, your Ancient Tomb, your Moxen of any color, your Chromux, your Darksteel Citadel, your whatever. You will be able to cast this Tezzeret Cruel Captain. Starting with 4 loyalty is a pretty reasonable amount of loyalty. That's not nothing, right? So 3 mana, 4 starting loyalty. Great. The 0 untaps an artifact or a creature. Getting it out of the way. This card untaps Time Bolt. So this is a 3 mana planeswalker for colorless mana that untaps Time Bolt. That is already huge. The Time Bolt decks play Teferi, who... It's not who sets the sun or something. Who the sun sets on. Teferi, sun. Teferi, who slows the sunset. The Time Bolt decks typically play this card. A 4 mana planeswalker that none of you probably know what it does. If I take this away, what does this card do? Other than untap Time Bolt. I mean, it genuinely has some other play to it. But you mostly know it because it untaps Time Bolt. It sees play because it untaps Time Bolt. Before we got to Teferi, we played Ral Zarek, a 4 mana legendary or 4 mana planeswalker in red that untapped Time Bolt. Before the past 5 years, Time Bolt decks were primarily Grixis. And part of the reason why they were Grixis is because they wanted access to Ral Zarek. Time Bolt decks now are primarily Bant, although there are variations. And this card is one of the reasons why. Like, you play white for Brightglass Gearhulk and Light and Tutor, Wargate, all that stuff. But they don't have to play this card. They could just say no, but they do. So this is a colorless 3 mana planeswalker that untaps Time Bolt. Great. Not to mention, in the Time Bolt deck, this also untaps Soul Ring, Mana Vault. In other Academy decks, it can untap Candelabra of Tawnos. This can just untap artifact lands for additional colored mana. Moxen, obviously. The One Ring. Like, there are some really powerful artifacts that you can untap, both cheap and slightly more expensive, to get a ton of value. But it can also untap creatures. I mean, untapping a Karnstruct works because it's an artifact, but also you can untap which is pretty good, but you can also untap Oswald Fiddlebender. meaning that this card with Oswald in the right board can just assemble Time Vault in a single turn. You could also just untap, I don't know, things for blockers. This part doesn't really matter that much, but it's just it's an added bonus for sure. I don't even know if I talked about the loyalty counter thing, but the fact that you could play this card and then ult it in the same turn, and that is not that out there, especially because it's when an artifact you control enters, not non-token artifact, not cast, meaning that you can play this, play an artifact land, play a bauble, and make a token off your Psy Master Thopterus or whatever, and then immediately ult it. Huge. Immediately get it up to enough mana that you can minus this and have it stick around. Huge. Just giving it a bunch of loyalty. Pretty great. Let's talk about the -3. Search your library for an artifact card, mana value 1 or less. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. She's getting one plate of can, one plate of chicken slot. Watered down, please and thank you. And mushed. You don't need to put the dental stuff in there. Think about artifacts that cost 1 or less. Let's talk about the good ones. Black Lotus, Soul Ring, Moxen, Mana Vault, Sensei's Divining Top, Voltaic Key, Manifold Key, Lion's Eye Diamond, but also Pithing Needle, Ghost Vacuum, Seed of the motherfucking Synod. Like, the fact that this can let you hit your land drops, that this can find a Haywire Mite, Hex Parasite, Pithing Needle, Ghost Vacuum, Aether Spellbomb, Pyrite Spellbomb, Portable Hole, Dusk Rose Reliquary. Hi. Any of those cards. But also, obviously, all of the busted magic cards that kill people, that combo off and kill people. Walking Ballista. Like, what are we even talking about? Grindstone. Honestly, this card being printed might be enough incentive to look into playing Grindstone. Like, to playing Grindstone combo again. Honestly, underrated combo. Underrated combo for sure. Especially because it's all... God, Mulder, that's so much hair. Especially because it's all just colorless mana. Right? It's an artifact combo that uses 2 cards. Both of them are very cheap that only uses colorless mana. That's not nothing. I think Painter Stone, underrated combo in the format right now. So yeah, this minus ability is pretty good. The -7 can just end the game. It just takes over the game. The strength of decks, especially like Time Vault decks nowadays, is that they always have the threat of killing you. That out of nowhere, they can kill people. They could just have the combo and you're dead. And so anything that the Time Vault decks especially, or the Storm decks, or the Paradox decks, or the Citadel Storm decks or whatever do, anything that those decks can do to pressure you, to distract you, to like push an advantage that is not their primary game plan, it's gravy, baby. Like, you need to deal with these, right? You need to deal with this threat, this other game plan they have. And if you expend resources doing that, chances are you're not going to have the resources to deal with the primary game plan, which is, well, killing you with Time Vault, storming off, whatever. Right? It's why one of the reasons why Urza Saga is so fucked up, and why it was incredibly fucked up in the combo decks, because why Storm had no business pressuring you with 4/4s and 5/5s than finding Black Lotus. Right? No business. And because of how much loyalty this card can get from this this ability, because this card has no way of actually gaining loyalty outside of this triggered ability up here. It's like but it's that is so easy to accomplish in an artifact deck. It's a lot, right? It just takes over the game. It threatens to ult, still stick around, and takes over the game. You can animate artifact creatures, or you can animate non-artifact creatures. You could put counters on a pre-existing artifact creature. You could even ult this, just put 3 more counters on a walking ballista and kill them. There's so much that can be done. I'm older. 1 second. I'm older. Hi. Hi. Come here. Go. Then go. Go get your food. Go get your food. Old cat's gonna cat. Yeah, this card is fucked up. I don't know how much more I need to talk about how busted this card is, but it's so good. Like, I want you to think about, I want everybody to just close your eyes right now. Canlander players, close your eyes. Just empty your mind of thoughts. And I want you to really zone in on your reaction, your emotional response when I say the following words. This is one of the best cards of the set and is going to find a home in Storm, Time Vault, Citadel combo, and other Academy combo decks. Chances are, when you heard those words, you either got so erect that you knocked over your desk, or you felt a chill go up your spine because you realize that you now have to play against that. Like, there's a reason why they don't give those archetypes. I mean, there's a reason why they don't print a ton of busted cards that tend to synergize well with those archetypes. Right? It's just, yeah, we don't get this often. Like, and also, they literally pushed back a vintage change. They were literally they're like, we were looking at making a change to the vintage ban list, but we have to see how the format reacts to this. How likely is this to be pointed? They're just other cards that you can point. Maybe. Not maybe to this being pointed. Maybe to, like, if action does indeed need to be taken. Depends on how busted this card is in other decks. I will say, the history of the game has been unfair to new combo decks getting tools, and then hand-waving, Emperor of Bones, Ocelot Pride, Ragavan, all that. Although we've gotten better. RB's Gaming back for the full year. Can't believe it's already been a whole month. Thank you so much for all the support. Glad to have you. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Thank you. The Dominion Bracelet. 2 mana, legendary artifact. It's an equipment with an equip cost of 1. Equip creature gets +1/+1 and has Pay 15 generic. Exile the Dominion Bracelet. You control target opponent during their next turn. This ability costs X less to cast, where X is the creature's power. I would not recommend this card in Canadian Highlander. I'd also probably not recommend this card in Commander. It's very goofy. That's it. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Mind Slavers in Commander, but also, I don't know. The more I play Commander, the more I realize that everybody else is a sicko except for me. These people, they don't know what they want. Time for some good fucking food. The Endstone. This is a 7 mana legendary artifact that says whenever you play a land or cast a spell, you draw a card. And then at the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half your starting life total rounded up. Very funny that this could be a benefit. Like, there are spots where you're at like 6 life and then this bumps you up to 10 again. Yeah, this card is very exciting to tinker into. It has a lot of the same DNA of Bolas' Citadel, but the cards that you want to play with it are going to be a little different. They're going to be you're going to be playing this with, you know, other spells, other cards to support it. You're not cheating on mana with this. You're just drawing a bunch of cards. This is basically just like a Song of Creation that you can tinker for. Very funny to play this card in a deck with a bunch of obviously zeros and rituals and fast bond. I'll be looking to try this card out in obviously Academy combo. Specifically, I want to play this card in I'm going to try it in Paradox Engine, but I'm also interested in trying this in a more dedicated turbo one ring kind of deck, like a Tinker combo that looks to set up either the one ring with Twiddles or this card. Because obviously that sounds a little goofy, but Twiddle with this card is just a free draw spell. And when you're untapping a Tolarian Academy, then it's a more than a free draw spell. It's draw a card plus add a bunch of mana. So yeah, I'm going to try out Twiddle Storm with this card. Regorn might actually have a list somewhere. Regorn, did you ever play or did you run into the like Turbo Ring deck that people were working on? I remember seeing it and thinking I could do better. And then being like, I saw it and thought that I could do better, but then I was like, I don't have the time. I mean, Citadel Storm basically filled that spot. Yeah, here's one from a year ago. Oh, this list has way too many lands and cards that aren't Twiddle. Like, I just want to you just put the one ring in play and you Twiddle. I guess this is like kind of a precursor to Citadel Storm. Yeah. Okay. This is something I'd like to work on. But I think this card gets in there as a great, this is just a pretty powerful Tinker target. Need to figure out what that list looks like. Obviously, you're on Tinker, but you're like a Tinker deck that doesn't necessarily need to play like Imperial Seal and Friends. I mean, you could still be Tinker, Mystical, Vamp, Academy, Mana Vault, Saga, Academy, Mana Vault, Ancient Tomb. Excuse me. World's your onion. Anyways, this card's really cool. Excited to experiment with it. The Eternity Elevator. Wheeler, did I see Massive Attack just launched a collective of musicians who have been censored because of their pro-Palestinian activism? Kneecap is involved. Oh, is this the British music festival? I vaguely heard about it, where it was like BBC was censoring artists that were delivering pro Palestinian like messaging. I did not hear about that. I put on this album because I thought that trip hop would be very appropriate for a space set. Oh, Oblivion, you apologized when you didn't need to. You already covered it, but did we talk about the new Fastbond combo, Humidity and Terrabotanus? Yes, we did. The Eternity Elevator, a 5-mana legendary artifact spacecraft that has station 20 to get it to do. It not even become a creature. It just taps to add 3 colorless, so it's kind of like Gilded Lotus. And then at 20 plus, it has tap at X, count X-Men of any one color, where X is the number of charge counters on it. Oh, that's cute. That's very cute. Redundant Gilded Lotus, says man who hasn't cast Gilded Lotus for at least 10 years. Love Island got their US visas revoked and shit. I mean, it's incredibly disappointing, but does not surprise me. I'm going to hold my tongue right now. But you know. Death Thrumming Hive Pool. It's a 6-mana artifact that says affinity for slivers. And slivers you control have double strike and haste. And at the beginning of your upkeep, create 2 1/1 colorless sliver creature tokens. I have some terrible news, everybody. Slivers is not good in Canadian Highlander. There just aren't enough muscle slivers. There are just not enough like winged sliver variants. Slivers is just not playable in Canadian Highlander. I've tried. Lord knows I've tried. It's just the worst aggro deck you've ever seen that also just loses to Blood Moon and also doesn't have many good 1-drops. It's, yeah. But if Slivers ever does become good, this card is good. This card just kind of ends the game the turn you play it. If you have a bunch of Slivers. And then if you don't, you make more Slivers. Maybe Wizards will do Slivers for MH4 like MH3 did Eldrazi. Yeah, that'd be good. Chat got political fast. Chat's always political. Chat is always political. You got to chat with a bunch of immigrants and queer people. Of course we're going to be political. Our existence is political to these people. Yeah. If we get good slivers, like if they, honestly, if they print a bunch of muscle slivers or whatever, then maybe we can get this. Genocide isn't political. I mean, genocide should be an apolitical, it should be we as a human species agree this is terrible, but evidently it is made into a party decision. And by that, I mean, in a lot of countries, both parties are like, actually, this is pretty good and cool. Yeah, existence is political. We are factioned as a people based off of who wants to erase our existence, right? Anywho, I'm gonna move on to something maybe, or we're on to lands. Adagia Windswept Bastion. So this is a cycle of lands. There's one for every color. They all come into play tapped. They're all planets. And they all have a station ability, with station being 12 plus. So Adagia here is the white one, and has 3 and a white. Tap, create a token that's a copy of target artifact or enchantment you control, except it is legendary. Activate only as a sorcery. Just so people are understanding of the rules, if this targets a non-legendary card, I can have a legendary Soul Ring and a non-legendary Soul Ring in play. If this targets my Soul Ring again, then I would have 2 legendary Soul Rings, and then I would have to select which one I want to keep. This ability is not that great. It costs a lot to get there. It comes into play tapped, adds a mana. We went over this conversation with the Final Fantasy lands. They're not good. The blue one is Uthros Titanic God Core that has pay a blue, tap, add a blue for each artifact you control. We are playing Canadian Highlander, so we get to just play Tolarian Academy. It'll be the best 1 point you ever spend. We have Susur Secundi, which is 1 and a black, tap, pay 2 life, sack a creature, draw cards equal to the sack creature's power. We have Cavaron Memorial World. 1 and a red, tap, sack a land, create a 2/2 robot, then creatures you control get +1/+0 in haste. Honestly, out of all of them, I think this is the best. In that this one can actually kill people. The other ones just do more bullshit. The other ones they're slow and they're win more. The red one is at the very least a card that, like, if you put all this effort to get into this one can take over the game. I'm not saying it's good, but out of all of them, this one is the closest to being playable. Because if I get this up to 12, then I get a Tolarian Academy I have to pay mana for? No, I'm not fucking doing that. I get a weird copy my artifacts or enchantments? I can't even copy the creatures? No. Sacking a creature and drawing cards equal to its power. This one does play in well with the ability, assuming you are playing into the bit, but unnecessary. It's like, oh, I'm already winning. What if I win more? And the green one turns into a Gaia's Cradle, a Vendo Waking Haven. So these cards are all not great. The red one is also not great, but it's the best out of the bunch. I would not recommend playing these cards. Eumidian Hatchery. This is a land that has tap, pay 1 life, add a black, put a hatchling counter on this land. And then when this land is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, for each hatchling counter on it, you create a 1/1 black insect token with flying. I don't think this card is that playable, but if you're a mono black aggressive deck, or like a deck looking to play Death Shadow, which now we have a couple of Death Shadows, we have like 3 or 4 of them. You can, you could do the damn thing. You don't have my glasses on. What is the site? This is Scryfall. Have you ever used Scryfall? I just don't think this card is going to be played in tournament winning decks. So, the Shocklands, or some number of the Shocklands have been printed. That doesn't matter for our format because they're reprints. I will point out that we have received a black-green and a white-red version of the Tango lands from Battle for Zendikar, Vernal Fen, and Radiant Summit. Both of them have land types, so Swamp, Forest, and Mountain Plains, and they enter tapped unless you control 2 or more basics. These lands do not see play outside of the black-blue one occasionally seeing play. The black-blue one occasionally seeing play in 2-color Thoracle combo decks, and the blue-white one in a blue-white control that somebody hasn't updated in 5 years. I imagine when we get the red-blue one, that one may be a consideration for Blue Moon control. But until then, we're good. And then there is also Festering Thicket and Glittering Massif. These are cycling duels from the Amonkhet cycle where they had the allied colors. Festering Thicket is a swamp forest. Glittering Massif is a mountain plains. They enter the battlefield tapped. They add the respective colors, and they all have cycling for 2. These ones are a little more defensible. We still see them show up occasionally. They're still very, low in appearance rate, but you could make an argument to having some of these in your deck. It's not the most embarrassing thing in the world. And then we have Secluded Starforge. This is a land that comes into play untapped, has tap out of colorless, pay 2 generic, tap X untapped artifacts you control. Target creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn. You can activate only as a sorcery. Then you pay 5 generic and tap, and you can create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact token. I'm good. I think maybe a niche artifact creature deck could play this, but I'm just not. I would just rather play a basic. Just rather play some lands. Pooping out 2/2s is not nothing. 5 mana is not nothing. It's cheaper than Urza's Factory. And but still effectively 6 mana. The first ability is one where you look at this and you're like, holy shit, that's so much damage. And then actually it's 3 mana, a creature gets +2/+0. Maybe. Because a lot of your artifacts already add mana. I could see somebody playing this, but I'm not super enthused by it. Anywho. I wish they were finishing those land cycles in standard so I could have them on arena where they're slightly more useful. I mean, I'd argue that these lands are useful in that they're getting printed in a product that is the most popular format in the world. And also, I don't know how many people actually play Constructed on arena, especially Constructed. I mean, standard maybe, but I don't know. I think putting them in Commander is cool. Anywho, that was Edge of Eternities. There's also why is this a reprint? Oh, is this in the Commander product? Is that why it's a reprint? I was going to look at some of the alt art. Stellar Sights. I don't know, just kind of browse through them. I think this text is terrible. What was the one that we talked about this on a Tap Concede? Which one was it? It was so funny. Does anybody remember? Racist Tap Concede be like, right, it was this one. It's so funny they make Japanese cards. It's the Mutavault. It was the Mutavault. Look at this fucking... Look at this fucking name. Oh my god, that's so funny. The artwork is great. This text is so unnecessary. Yeah. They look pretty cool in person. The foils look great in person. The non-foils they look okay. Let me find one. Because I opened one of my kits. Yeah, the foil looks better, but the non-foil one, no. It's not my jam, but oh yeah, good job, Ben. Really showed the art off. It's okay, I'm not doing it again. This is the bonus sheet, right? So this is why people were talking about how you could play against Ancient Tomb in draft. And how you can get strip locked in draft. Right? There's strips in here. Yeah, you could strip lock people in draft. That's so funny. Oh, this text is so much better because it's still kind of stylized, but normal. Ooh, that contested war zone looks beautiful. This Dust Bowl, though. Okay. With the Endless Sands? Damn, these dog shit. I mean, Dust Bowl's good. But contested war zone and Endless Sands, just completely unplayable cards getting incredible art. Oh, the Hissing Quagmire, I really like that. High Market's good. Grove the Burn Willows looks pretty good. Yeah. Not the kind of art that I personally like to have on Magic cards, but I will take this over anime any day. When this creature enters, you may have it deal 4 damage to target creature with flying. Oh, it's the fucking the Echo Giant. It's a red Echo Giant from Time Spiral. It's not Subterranean something or other, is it? I'm going to put in Subterranean. No, Subterranean Shambler's the other Echo one. Oh, what the fuck is it called? It is from Time Spiral. I don't remember its name. Oh. It's not from. Oh, it's from the block of Time Spiral, right? No, I'm thinking it destroys. Fuck. When this creature enters, you can have it deal 4 damage to target creature with flying. What color is this? What color is it, Lion's Eye Diamond? Also, thank you for the 69 months. It's a long ass time. I hope you're doing well. No color? What? There's an artifact that does this? Meteorite doesn't do it. Deal damage flying. I don't know how this works. For a brief second, I thought it was the spacecraft, and I almost got very upset. What? When this creature enters, you may have it deal 4 damage. What did it? When this creature enters, you may have it deal 4 damage. Flying. Oh, it's the fucking Geist Catcher's rig. Oh. Oh. I should have known. I mean, I very rarely played this card. I played a lot of Innistrad Limited, but oh fuck! All right, you got me. You got me. Good one. All right, yeah, you got me. You got me. Big whoop. So what? Yeah, it's fucking rigged. Oh my god. Well, there's no recovering from that. Unfortunately. GG no rig. Edge of Eternities. Anyways, Edge of Eternities. This set is great. Like, at a glance, here are the following cards. Or set. I mean, I guess I could just do this. Here are the following cards at a glance that I am excited to play in Canadian Highlander. Cosmogrand Zenith. Halia. Honored Knight Captain. Lightstall Inquisitor. Reroute Systems. Seam Rip. Starfield Shepherd. Cryogen Relic. Consult the star charts. Emissary Escort. Damn, this song rips. Scour for Scrap. Synthesizer Lab Ship. Uthros Research Craft. I'll give this card is, I've come around on this card. Kind of regret not putting in the set review. Black didn't really hit it for me in this set. I think it's cool, but I'm not like stoked to play any of these cards except for the Dredge card, which I think I may have missed. Where's the 2/2? Is it Drix Assassin? What are you called? Somebody tell me when I see the 2-mana 2/2 with haste. There it is. Timeline color. Timeline color. Full Bore. Caveron Harrier. Melded Moxite. Nova Hellkite. Plasma Bolt. Remnant Elemental. Rust Harvester. Terminal Velocity. Warmaker Gunship. Weapons Manufacturing. I'd even throw a bone to Weft Stalker Ardent. Famished World Sire. Horizon Explorer. Ice Till Explorer. Might Form Harvester. Station Monitor. Pinnacle Emissary. Cosmogoyf. I'll throw a bone to Gene Morphomago. I've kind of come around on this card. Gene Morphomago. Not Canlander, but honestly, Dawnsire. It's just so stupid. Extinguisher Battleship, Nutrient Block. Obviously, Tezzeret, Cruel Captain, my, pick for best card of the set. The End Stone, and that's it. Now, that's a lot of cards. I mentioned a ton of cards there. This set rips. I think that the power level of the set is very high. And those are just cards that I'm like, I'm going to want to actively get those cards to play them in Canlander for content as quickly as possible. I missed other cards that are pretty good. Like people are talking about the 2-mana 3/2 that has Sack a Creature Surveil. Sure. That's fine. But all the other cards, I'm like, hell yeah. Like, hell yeah. The power level is great. The aesthetic is great. I thought I would hate this set. I thought I would hate it up and down the block, but I think it's great. I think they did it in a very tasteful way. I think they also did it in a way that feels less jarring of an end point. I mean, this isn't an end point, but it feels less jarring. Right? Because anytime you have these sets where they do big leaps in technology and whatnot, it feels like, where the fuck did this come from? Right? I thought we were still in the woods of Wirewood or Timber Watch, like that kind of thing. And it just feels dissonant. Like the fucking TVs from Duskmourn or the stupid Clue computers on Ravnica. But this doesn't feel like that. Maybe because it's not a hat set. Maybe because it's not cringe. Maybe because it just really owns its setting. It's not trying to be too jokey. It's not trying to be too serious. It's gorgeous. It feels like we got a little bit of a glimpse into this world or these worlds. Yeah, it's so good. I genuinely believe that this set is going to go down as an all-timer. Obviously, limited gameplay will have something to do with that, but I am going to need to do some sponsored streams because I'm going to buy a bunch of German foils from this set. Actually, hold on. How much longer do I have on this sponsored stream for tonight? Or not tonight. I signed up to do a sponsored stream for the Tiki Solitaire game. They had a reasonable base rate. And I said, yeah, set me up. Am I doing it? Somebody rated me. Oh, Amy, I'm about to end my stream. Oh, I got 11 days. Let's go. I hope you had a good stream, Amy. I hope you had some fun either playing a Magic the Gathering game or... No, Foxy, come on. No. No, I'm ending. I'm ending. I'm ending. Fuck. I gotta go. I gotta go. Mikhail, welcome back for the 30th month. Lamau. Cube, I can't. I have to go. I have a contractual obligation to loading ready run. I gotta go. I'm sorry. I gotta go. Thank you for the raid. I hope you had a good stream. Right in front of your salad? Is that what you call your chat now? The salad? I'll drop people off at a non-problematic streamer. But I gotta go. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm sorry. I hope you two had good streams. Thank you for the raids. It means a lot to me. But I gotta go. The set reviews are going to be up on YouTube. There's a Discord. You can give me money here. I know Cube is calling out to me like the fucking Green Goblin mask, but I gotta go. I gotta go. We're doing a draft, 2-pick draft over at LRR tonight. I'm on it. It's no shit. I'm dropping you off at Ashes. Watch some Magic the Gathering. Happy and a very merry German foil to each and every one of you. And there's a PPR. There's a PPR on Monday. I'm still streaming on the weekend. Angel and I are playing Canlander tomorrow. There's a PPR and it's on Monday. And Lua and Tori from the Scry Babies are there. Okay, bye.